The views and content expressed on the following program are provided solely for informational and entertainment purposes. They do not constitute legal advice. A podcast is not a substitute for retaining a competent, licensed attorney to advise you on your specific legal situation.
Break the business, play is work and work is play. Power into creators, have fun along the way. Break the business, doing what it takes. Celebrate success and learn from the mistakes.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is time for Break the Business, where we empower indie creators and have some fun along the way. I'm Ryan Kairalla, and it is a pleasure to have you here this week. I am in a great mood this week, viewers and listeners, for not one but two reasons. One, the reason I'm always in a good mood when we do this show, we're doing this show, and I love doing this show. We got lots of great stuff to talk about. We got a great guest coming up later in the show. Hannah Nobby, the marketing manager at Brooklyn Bowl, is going to be joining us. She's great. Brooklyn Bowl is great. And so, obviously, the notion that we're going to have a show that involves anything involving Brooklyn Bowl and the fantastic Hannah Nobby is already putting me in a good mood. Second reason I'm in a good mood, it's opening day for baseball. Happy opening day, everybody. That means the return of one of my favorite human beings in the world. Before we talk about that human being, let me bring on another one of my favorite human beings in the world. Our co-host this week, Zach Sloan's here. Hey, Zach.
What up, Ryan? My Rockies haven't played yet, so I don't know how my day's going.
Well, my Marlins have already gotten their first loss of the season out of the way early. We managed to, we don't want to be too showy to start the season off, You win your first game of the season, you immediately put a target on your back, right? You never want to do that.
True.
You want to come in under the radar, and nothing like the Marlins, my Miami Marlins, to lose that first game of the season, and immediately no one's going to be worried about them breathing down your neck, and that's how we get you. You underestimate us.
That's how the Rockies do it. The Rockies like to stay under the radar for the first 90, 100 games.
For 20 years,
And then the next 50 games after that, and then they really turn it on.
By August, when there's 60 games out of first, that's when they hit the switch, baby.
That's when they do it.
But here's why I'm particularly excited for baseball season. Because as I previously mentioned, Zach, it means the return of one of my favorite people that wears a baseball uniform right now. Producer Lauren, I gave you no heads up on this, and for that I apologize. But could you find for us,
Do you want me to
Producer
find
Lauren?
the walrus guy again?
No, that's Andy Reid. That's I need you to find the mustache guy in baseball. We need Jake Berger. It is baseball season. That means it's Jake Berger, which means I need to find not just any Jake Berger picture, right? We need the most mustachioed Jake Berger picture you can find. We want that beautiful Jake Berger mustache looking like everybody's dad in all of his glory, so that we can just be graced with the presence of this wonderful human who's kind of a throwback in a sense, right? Because back when you and I were probably loving baseball in the 90s, Zach Sloan, every baseball player looked like Jake Berger. Mustache, out of shape, made you think I could get out there and play baseball. That doesn't look so hard. Right? And now today, like, they're all chiseled physiques. They all look like amazing Adonis-like specimens. And it's impressive to watch them do athletic things looking all muscular. But, like, I miss the rotund, mustachioed baseball players that Jake Berger's bringing back.
We need more Cecil Fielders in our lives. And
Yes, we do. Oh, my God. I want to do a whole show where you and I just do, like, fat 90s baseball players that make us smile, and like who's on this team, right? It's definitely Cecil Fielder.
Oh my
John
goodness.
Kruk is on the team for sure.
Kruk. And if you would get into the facial hair thing, I love that too.
Oh yeah, and bonus points for the facial hair, right? Like baseball was different back then. Like guys in the 90s, they could be like 280 pounds, be out of shape, chain smoking cigarettes and drinking beer in the dugout, and then they go out there and hit 330.
Yeah, it was a glorious time, and I think baseball was better for it. In fact, I think you've said that on this podcast before.
Oh yeah, it's my regular rant about baseball, which is why I love Jake Berger so much. Lord, where's that picture of Jake Berger? While we wait for that picture of Jake Berger, I want to talk to you about something else, Zach, before we get into our stories this week, because I need your help on
Hit
what I
me.
think is going to be one of Break the Business's most exciting projects that we have to do this show. So, as you saw in the intro, wait, here's this Jake Berger. Is this going to be the
Oh, my
beautiful
goodness.
mustachioed man?
That's my dude.
Oh, it's like buffering. Oh my God, the suspense is killing me. Anyway,
I got it.
you got
It
it.
looks
I don't have it
fantastic
on my
my end.
computer.
I love this.
Oh, crap.
Dude,
Why
okay,
can't I
he
see?
is
I'm
in.
so
It's
sad.
this is a. I'm gonna tell you right now, Lauren nailed this picture, because it shows everything that we're talking about, and I
want to see the
fully
picture.
endorse this.
Lauren, for some reason, I can't see it on my screen, and it's making me visibly upset. I don't know if we have to anyway. So
I like
as
how
long as-
she's zooming in.
Well, as long as the world is enjoying it, I'm okay if I'm not enjoying it. Okay, so we were talking about Hananabi from Brooklyn Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, my screen's going weird for some reason. Anyway, so Hananabi from Brooklyn Bowl is going to be joining us later in the show, and a segment that I want to do with her, Zach, is bowling teams that connote music. And I want her to pick her favorite music-sounding bowling team name. I've spent the last week with some other people coming up with a bunch of really funny-sounding music-related bowling team names. And since Brooklyn Bowl is a music and bowling venue, I figure Hannah would appreciate these names and pick our favorite one. So before we bring her on to talk about our favorite names, I figured you might be able to help me come up with some additional of these names. Does that make sense?
Dude, sign me up. I'm into this.
Very cool.
My first submission is the gutter. Or
The
the
Gutter?
gutters. Yeah.
I
Coheed
mean,
and Cambria fans know what I'm talking about.
okay, so that's a Coheed and Cambria reference. So right now I have names like Splitsky.
Yep, love it.
Yeah, no, pretty solid one, right? Katy Sperry, 10,000 Laniacs, Build Me Up, Gutter Cup, Bowley Eilish. That's the vibe we're going for here, right? So if you can supply some additional names for us, Zach Slow, maybe throw them in the chat or something. Producer Lauren, Graham, if you guys have any ideas, throw them in the chat. We can add them to the list and then have our guest Hannah Nobby tell us what some of her favorites are.
I love this idea. I think I'm gonna keep this percolating. I got some ideas for you. But what about what was your Katy Perry one?
Katy Sperry. You think you can do better than Katy Sperry in the Katy Perry category?
Oh God, I don't know if I can.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Paradise City.
Oh, Paradise City. That's pretty solid. I'm loving that. Okay, so that's what we're gonna
Fleetwood
be doing.
Rack.
That's pretty solid. All right.
Lana Del Rey.
Whoa! Zach!
I told you it was there.
Zach Sloan, you're absolutely bringing it, my friend. Wow. That is tremendous. Okay, so we got
The
a
Bowling
lot to like there.
Stones.
All right, I'm going to need you to throw, I don't know how you're going to throw these in the chat while we're doing a show, but you could put those together for us. I'd really, really appreciate that. And we're going to have a great time with Hannah Nobby later in the show. That's going to be an absolute
I love
blast.
it.
So, okay. Let me be candid with the viewers and listeners right now. My notes page and a lot of the windows on my computer are just falling apart right now. You all can still see me and hear me on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you all can see me, but my computer is going absolutely haywire on this end, and I'm trying my best to get my notes back together, and absolutely nothing is working except for the internet stream for some reason. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to handle this because, want to make sure we can do the notes and the segments and everything. Producer Lauren, do you want to pop in for a minute?
Sure.
And just give me like 5 minutes of you and Zach talking more about like bowling names and give me some time to just like completely restart my system and figure out what in the heck's going on here. Would that
I
be
have
all right?
Morocco bowlers.
All right, hang in there, okay? I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna shut all this down. I'm gonna come back in a bit, okay?
Okay, have
All right.
fun.
Thank you.
Are we gonna like talk terrible things about Ryan while he's gone? Oh, wait, we have to wait till he's
Absolutely.
actually gone.
I don't know why we wouldn't.
We had our meeting with volume.com today, and Ryan brought Nathan into the meeting. We're like having our pro meeting, and we're like doing things, and he's like, I'm getting a knock at my door, and in comes like this adorable child. And I was like, are you trying to win them over with cuteness?
Why not? I
But
see
in
no problem.
all fairness, we're super, super excited, and it looks like our official launch date is coming in the mid to later half of April, and we're going to be bringing on some guests from volume.com. And if you're not familiar with volume.com, go check it out. It's kind of awesome. I'm still learning all the cool things it does, but we should be having a lot of fun on there. Oh, Graham just went in. He said split happens.
My dude, I love it.
This is why we keep him around.
So the volume.com thing is a really, I think, interesting, and I'm very, as outsider looking and having been a fan of the podcast for much longer than I've been on, I'm very curious to see like how the audience will change, because volume opens up a whole new group of people to the podcast. And I'm curious because in the past, year and a half, I have noticed more people of like other art forms besides the traditional nerdy guitar players like myself coming to the podcast. So I'm very curious to see how if volume will continue to do that. Oh, he's back. Shh.
Okay.
Ryan's great. He's a really nice guy. I'm so happy. Yeah.
I was telling everyone how you totally killed our meeting with volume.com today by bringing in your son.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what?
He was so cute though.
Since everything's gone off the rails anyway, and I'm having like a massive life crisis with all of my technology falling apart, let's take a couple minutes to talk about where things are standing with volume.com. We had a fantastic...
That's what we did while you were totally gone.
Well, what'd you all say? What were you guys talking about?
We're talking about how excited we are for our launch that's coming into the later part of April. We're going to bring on some guests from volume.com. And I'm excited to see the audience. Zach was talking about being excited to see the audience that volume.com will bring to our existing menagerie of different artists and creators.
I am pretty thrilled to join that community of like awesome, dedicated musicians who are doing cool stuff in live streaming. That's our crowd. And, we're pretty dang excited about it. I mean, did we land on whether or not we can announce the date or not? I mean, because we know the date, right?
It sounded pretty official, but I don't know.
Like, we know the date, right? Producer Lauren, we nailed down a date. And so, I mean, they said like, I think we landed on like not announcing it yet, but I don't know why we can't announce it yet. Can we like soft announce it?
I was going to say, I don't think anybody actually said not to. You weren't on the air. And so I was being all cryptic because I didn't want to get in trouble.
Well, how about this? Maybe we can announce it without officially announcing it. And that way, like the diehard fans who are in the know, they'll know when the date is, but then we can still officially announce it later. Oh, wait, I just figured out how we're going to do it, okay?
Okay. We'll tell Neruda to show up on this day.
Break the Business is coming to volume.com in April.
Yes.
And it won't be coming on April 4th or April 11th or April 25th.
Fair enough. Figure it out.
Right. I think, the listeners can do a little bit of deduction there. They can probably put together when the start date is in April on volume.com. So
math is hurting Zach's head. Like, I can feel the pain from a distance.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Carry the one.
Let me get a calculator.
All right. So anyway, now that I think for the time being the technology has come back to us, two things we want to do. First, we're going to bring up. Second, we're going to bring up the story that we're going to talk about this week. But before that, now that my technology is working, can I please see this picture of Jake Berger, please, producer Lauren?
Oh, I could totally make that happen. Berger!
Yes. Oh my God, there he is.
It's perfect.
Hello, you beautiful man. I'm so glad to have you back in my life. Happy opening day. Oh goodness. Okay, there we go. Let's talk about.
As long as we make Ryan happy.
It's just like I was having the worst night just now with like everything falling apart with my technology, and seeing Jake Berger's beautiful mustache makes me feel better again. And we got Hananabi coming in later. Okay, I'm back on track. Got a great story, really kind of cutting edge stuff, Zach, coming out of Tennessee. talking about AI in music. So, Zach, you might remember that big story last year of someone using AI to create a song called Heart on My Sleeve that sounded like it was created by Drake and The Weeknd, but it wasn't created by Drake or The Weeknd. It was AI that was meant to sound like Drake and The Weeknd, but those two artists actually had nothing to do with it. But it sounded so much like them that it caused a whole bunch of people to wonder, are we ever going to get some laws against this? Like, is there going to be a legislative response to this issue of AI deepfakes in music? And we hadn't heard anything for a while. Like, no legislature had stepped up yet until now. On March 21st, Tennessee became the first U.S. state to enact legislation protecting musicians from unauthorized AI impersonation. The new law, entitled the Ensuring Likeness, Voice, and Image Security Act, or Elvis Act, updates the state's old right of publicity law by prohibiting the use of AI to mimic an artist's voice without their permission. The law was supported by over 180 music industry organizations, including the RIAA, ASCAP, and BMI. The law is going to go into effect on July 1st of this year. And there are similar efforts, Zach, that are happening at the federal level to address this issue, to sort of come alongside what Tennessee has already started to do. A bipartisan group of federal lawmakers back in January sponsored the No Artificial Intelligence Fake Replicas and Unauthorized Duplications Act, or No AI Fraud Act, which would have similar protections to the Tennessee law. Fair to say, the Tennessee legislature, much more on point with their legislation acronym game than the folks over in Washington, right?
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. I never saw that coming, that the people in Tennessee were more creative.
So I can actually mention this. Like, if the American taxpayers knew how much time employees in Congress, like Congress staffers and legislative aides, spent sitting around offices coming up with like ridiculous acronyms. I mean, I was a Senate intern in college, and I worked in D.C., and I swear I was sitting in offices with like a whole bunch of like the best legislative minds in America, like trying to find a way to cram the word, find a bunch of words that spelled out freedom or justice so that we could, even if like the acronym sounded really clunky, like, I don't know, the No Artificial Intelligence Fake Replicas and Unauthorized Duplications Act, just so we can say No AI Fraud or Elvis Act. And it's ridiculous. And I don't know why the federal and state legislatures are so obsessed with like getting these acronyms, but here we are. Anyway, this law in Tennessee was a long time coming, Zach. This Drake AI song came out a year ago, and only now we're starting to see legislation like this. Pretty mind-blowing to you. You're just putting on your lawyer hat and your musician hat there, Zach.
Well, I think there's two things in all seriousness. I'm kind of impressed it happened this quickly. This is a big thing to tackle, and usually Congress moves incredibly slow. At the state legislatures too, but states are usually a little bit more nimble. But I'm very impressed they got it together this quickly. I'm very curious to see what the Elvis Act, if you will do with images as well. Because the I stands for image, and one thing I'm curious about is using artists' likenesses in music videos, or having them guesting in. Like, what is the ramification if I want Beyonce to be in my video, right?
Yeah.
And I AI fake her in? Will the Elvis Act protect her from that? I think so, but I don't know yet.
Yes. The law has been drafted expansively enough that if you tried to put Beyonce in your music video, it would violate this Tennessee law. One of the big shifts that this law does, Zach, is it really upends what our traditional understanding of the right of publicity law has been in the law for generations, which is historically states that would create rights of publicity laws, whether it's the one we have in Florida or the one in California. It was meant to really only protect the use of celebrities' likenesses in advertisements, right? Like using an artist's likeness to sell a product. Because the idea is, like, if that celebrity doesn't endorse your product, you shouldn't be allowed to use their likeness to sell your product without their permission. And so historically, right of publicity law was traditionally in the space of just advertising, right? You can't use celebrities to endorse your product if they don't actually endorse your product. But only now, and have we started to see this emergence where people want to see the right of publicity law get into the realm of creative works, where we don't want to have people think that an artist was on a song that they weren't actually on, or in a movie that they weren't actually in. And the old right of publicity law, which was only really about advertising, hasn't really caught up to meet those uses. And now with AI emerging and it becoming easier than ever to create a deep fake of an artist's voice or likeness and put them in a creative project, it's all the more reason why the law really had to start catching up here. And so here we are now. Tennessee is the first state to enact this kind of law. They're not going to be the last. And I assume there's going to be increasing push for something at the federal level here too.
Well, and I would certainly expect that. I think the biggest question that I have, and I've been trying to break the business, office pools going forever. Can we have an office pool on which state gets it next? I got California.
That seems pretty solid. Although sometimes with laws like this, every once in a while, when it comes to these kind of celebrity laws, you always get like a weird state that jumps the gun and does it first, because I think they want people to think that they're a state that celebrities are in. So you might get something wacky where like Wyoming passes this law, even though there's no celebrities in Wyoming, but Wyoming wants you to think that they're celebrities. And plus, legislatures in smaller states tend to move faster because there's not as much bureaucracy. I'll give you a great example of this exact phenomenon, right? A few weeks ago, Zach, we were talking about states that are starting to enact laws that require families that have their children appear as influencers on their social media, right? If you're one of these families that is like documenting your family's life for social media, and you're starting to use your children to sell products on your social media channel, states are starting to enact laws that say, if you're doing this with your kids, you have to take a piece of the money that you're making and put it in a trust account and set it aside for your kids so that when they turn 18, they actually have some money, right? Similar to the Coogan laws that you see for like child actors in Hollywood.
Right.
And you would think, okay, who's going to be the first state to pass a law like that? Probably California, right? Or New York, where there's a lot of child stars doing social media influencing. It was Illinois.
Where child labor runs rampant.
That's right. Because like Illinois just wanted to show how hip and cool and like celebrity they are. So they were the first to do this kind of celebrity law. So maybe it's going to be California that creates the next Elvis Act, but it could just, maybe they'll call it like the Beach Boys Act or something. They'll have to find a way to spell out Beach Boys. With some like random words about AI. But I mean, what this really needs though is a federal answer, because Because the arts is a federal phenomenon, right? Like art that is created in Tennessee doesn't stay in Tennessee. We need something that has nationwide coverage that's applicable everywhere. And so
like
I think
copyright?
like copyright law, right? Can you imagine if every state had their own copyright law? It would be a nightmare to comply with. We need a single federal standard for things like the use of likeness, particularly in the realm of AI. And I'm hoping that we see movement on this issue, because it's only going to get crazier out there as it becomes easier and easier to create AI deepfakes of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what scares me. That's why part of my mind jumped to not just voice but imagery, right? Because people already abuse AI images, and I couldn't imagine being in that situation where my voice or my face was on something I just would never want to be a part of. And so I really hope this goes to combating that. My biggest fear, though, with this type of legislation is are you ever able actually to find the person who broke the law?
Yeah.
Right. If somebody's hiding behind the curtain of the internet, you can't always find them, and that's the thing that stresses me out the most.
Well, you sound like you're like personally afraid of this. Like somebody's going to create a Zach Sloan deepfake and.
Oh, you know what? I forget the name of the artist, but the artist who we talked about last year when she was like, "Please fake me and tag me on it." Like, the best thing that could ever happen to me is that would happen to me, or somebody steals my song and I get to oh, I've registered my copyright, give me my money. But like I do worry. Pro tip: register your copyrights. But I do worry about the ramifications for some people who have been victimized via AI in pretty terrible ways, and so I'm hoping this helps address it for those people, because it's scary when you get into what AI is capable of right now.
Without a doubt. With a few minutes left before we go to break here and bring out our guest Hannah Nobby, but before we do, wanted to bring another quick piece of news to your attention, since we were talking about copyright law here, Zach. There's been a case that I've been following for the last couple years in the copyright space that reached a pretty wild conclusion this month that, I wanted to bring it to your attention because to me it is just the latest example of this increasingly frightening phenomenon of frivolous copyright lawsuits ruining creators' lives and setting a terrible precedent where more and more songwriters are going to have to keep looking over their shoulder, afraid that somebody's going to come after you with a copyright suit and just really mess up your career. So back in March of 2022, Zach, a artist sued Sam Smith and Normani, alleging that their song, alleging the Sam Smith song "Dancing with a Stranger" infringed on their song from like years ago called "Dancing with Strangers." And if you go and listen to the two songs, I encourage people, go on YouTube right now, listen to the two songs, "Dancing with a Stranger," "Dancing with Strangers," and you will come to find that there's really no similarity between these two songs, other than that 3 of the 4 words in the title are the same. But you're going to listen to these two songs and say, there's no real similarity here. But that, this is America. Anybody can sue anybody, and that didn't stop them from a lawsuit happening. So the case didn't make it to a jury because, again, it was a pretty weak case. It got knocked out on what's called summary judgment, where basically that means a judge looks at the evidence that both parties have and says, there is no issue here for a jury to resolve. This doesn't need to go to a jury. This is such a slam dunk case that I'm going to declare Sam Smith the winner, the defendants the winner on this copyright case on summary judgment, and make the case go away. And so a lot of people who are sort of pro plaintiff in the copyright space and pro letting people sue people in the copyright space are going to say, well, what's the problem, Ryan? The system seems to work. Right? This wasn't a case with merit, and so it never made it before a jury, and so Sam Smith was fine. But as this case unfortunately shows, even when a case is frivolous, even when a case gets knocked out on summary judgment and doesn't go to a jury, it is still very expensive to defend those cases. So this case was filed over 2 years ago. It only now has seemed to have reached its conclusion. And meanwhile, to defend this case, which again had no real merit, didn't make it to a jury, Sam Smith and his lawyers had to incur over $700,000 in legal fees. And the reason why we know how much the legal fees are is that Sam Smith's lawyers tried to petition the court to have the plaintiff in the case have to pay the attorney's fees. They tried to argue, Your Honor, this case was so ridiculous, we should shift the fees and make the other side pay the attorney's fees instead. The court said, nope, we're not doing that. This is America. In America, we don't have a loser pays attorney's fees system. Everybody's responsible for their own legal fees. And so Sam Smith and Normani, you're on the hook for your own legal fees. And so, doesn't this scare you, Zach? The idea of even the weak, even the bull bleep copyright cases that any human being can listen to those two songs and say those songs aren't similar. Even cases like that get knocked out on summary judgment can still cost a creator 2 years of their life and $750,000 in legal fees to protect.
Well, yes to all of that, but what is very interesting to me about this is the judge even said in the summary judgment order that there is no substantial similarity to vastly different. The judge goes on for a little bit about how ridiculous this claim is.
Yeah.
And then says, but I don't, and then later comes back, I don't know if it was a frivolous lawsuit, guys. I was like, did you read your first order? Because your first order made it sound pretty frivolous.
It was pretty funny, right? The judge, you're absolutely right about this. It seems like the judge that wrote the summary judgment motion just ripping the plaintiffs apart for how weak their case was. Mm-hmm. was like a completely different judge than the judge who ruled on the attorney's fees motion, where suddenly the judge was like, it was a close enough case. We're not going to make the other side pay the legal fees. Like, oh my God. This is my fear, though, Zach, among everything else, is with a case like this, we now know that the cost to defend a ridiculous copyright suit, a weak copyright claim, is over $700,000. Even if you know you're going to win, it's still going to cost you $700,000 to prove it. And so, to me, I think this creates a predatory situation. Now, the next artist who wants a payday can go to an artist and say, look, I'm going to sue you for copyright infringement. I don't think our two songs are very similar at all, but I can find a tiny, tiny amount of similarity, just enough that, you're going to lose, that I'll lose on summary judgment, but the judge isn't going to make me pay your legal fees. And so your choices, artist, are either you win on summary, you let me sue you, you win on summary judgment, but you pay $700,000, or you cut me a check for $200,000 right now, and this goes away. You don't lose two years of your life. You don't lose $700,000 in legal fees. And so I think we could see a lot of these kind of shakedowns happening, and that terrifies me.
And that's when I'd like to make my announcement here on the podcast. My first album was called Nowhere, New Mexico. And I'm sure you know, Ryan, New Mexico is next to Texas. And Beyonce, you have a song called Texas Hold'em. I'm pretty sure you stole that from me. And I think it's time that we can resolve this, Bay. I'll do it for $150,000. Like, this is the thing you're talking about, is like this level of absurdity. By the way, I love Beyonce. I'm not going to sue her.
You don't want that smoke from the Beehive. They'll take you down.
The best thing that could ever happen is that Beyonce accidentally ripped me off. That would be amazing, and I'd be so happy. But no, like, this is the thing that is stressful, and this is the thing that bothers me, because there is a provision. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. You know more about copyright than I do. I was, a child abuse attorney, but like, there is a provision, if I'm not mistaken, that says that copyright legal fees can be recovered if it is frivolous, and it's written into the code.
Yes, there is a fee shifting provision.
So it really bothers me that it's not being used, particularly in situations like this, because it opens the door to just more crappy lawsuits.
Yeah. And so maybe what we need to see, if we're talking about a legislative solution here, is for Congress to put a little more teeth in that fee shifting provision so that judges are inclined to use it in cases that are not necessarily 100% frivolous, but maybe if your case is 95% frivolous or 90% frivolous, we can shift the fees, because anything else invites copyright trolls. Anything else invites this kind of shakedown tactics that I'm so afraid of.
I mean, not to get too lawyerly, but move the fee shifting provision to more of like a comparative negligence situation instead of contributory, where you can, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Let's weigh exactly how frivolous your claim was, and then determine lawyer fees that you would owe. I think that sounds incredibly complicated, but better than what we're doing now.
I could get behind that. I like that a lot. All right. Let's take a break, and then we're going to bring in our guest, Hannah Nobby from Brooklyn Bowl. We're going to do our fun bowling team game with her. I'm pretty excited with that. Don't go anywhere. Keep checking out Break the Business. Break the Business is presented in cooperation with Ryan A. Kairalla, PA. Ryan Kairalla, PA is a law firm providing transactional entertainment legal services, including contracts, business formation, commercial law, copyright, trademark, and more. Ryan A. Kairalla, PA, Miami, Florida. rkpalaw.com.
Streaming services for Break the Business provided by LEK Entertainment. LEK Entertainment is a full-service entertainment company offering everything from consultations to full-scale events and productions, including audio and video productions, voiceovers, staged theatrical productions, script and music development, and streaming services. For more information, visit lekentertainment.com. LEK Entertainment wants to help you bring your story to life.
Thanks for supporting Break the Business. If you have a question or topic that you want us to discuss, email us at breakthebusiness@gmail.com. You can follow the host, that's me, on Twitter at Ryan Kair, and you can follow the show at the BTB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and on all major podcast platforms. And now, let's get back to the show. Welcome back to Break the Business, you lovely humans. Ryan Kairalla here with Zach Sloan. We're just having a grand old time. Thank you for checking us out wherever you're checking us out. You can check us out on all major podcast platforms, on all the live streaming platforms, soon to be joined by volume.com in April, and not on April 4th, 11th, or 25th. You can piece together the April where you will find us, because I'm not officially allowed to make the announcement of our volume.com date, but you can use some deductive reasoning there. We're also available on Sirius XM 145, and we are so thankful to the fantastic humans at Slam Radio for giving us a satellite radio home wherever you're checking us out. And it seems like there's just too many places where you can check us out. We got to start doing some culling at some point, but wherever you're checking us out, we're so glad that you are. Zach, I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for our guest this week. I love the people from Brooklyn Bowl. They always make me so happy. So let's go ahead and bring out our guest. She is the marketing manager at Brooklyn Bowl, an award-winning music and bowling venue in New York City that has been deemed rock and roll heaven by the Village Voice. In honor of International Women's Month, our program is joining Brooklyn Bowl in shining the light on the many talented women who operate Brooklyn Bowl's venues. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting brooklynbowl.com. We are happy to welcome Hannah Nobby on to Break the Business. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, how are y'all?
Oh, y'all are doing so great.
It's my people. My people. I'm a yaller. I love
Yes.
it. Well, we're here. I'm in Miami. We're not y'allers, but every time I hear a y'all, it makes me smile. So
Thank you.
what a treat to be speaking with you. We love the people at Brooklyn Bowl, Hannah. I think you're our third Brooklyn Bowl guest. Every time we talk to somebody from your venue, it is tremendous because where you work really is rock and roll heaven. I mean, it's almost like when they conceived of the idea of Brooklyn Bowl, a bunch of people got together and said, what is the building that would make Ryan Kairalla the happiest? Music venue. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's get that in there. Bowling. Yeah, Ryan Kairalla likes bowling. Let's put that in the same building as a music venue. Oh, and like the best food you've ever eaten. Let's just throw it all together in one place and just Ryan's going to have the time of his life. But I don't want y'all to hear it from me. Hannah, as the marketing manager of Brooklyn Bowl, can you tell us a little bit about what makes your venue so special?
I don't know what else to add to what you said. I think that we also have a really great location. We've been in Williamsburg for 15 years. This summer will be 15 years of Brooklyn Bowl. It just, people from all over the world know who we are. People come specifically to Brooklyn Bowl to see a show at Brooklyn Bowl. I'd like to think that it's similar to Red Rocks, where if you're in town, you're in the area, you're going to go to that venue no matter who's playing, just because it's such a unique experience.
I'm with you on that. It is a unique and fantastic experience. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I want to say this in the nicest way possible, because I'm already afraid to make this comment because I feel like there's no way to say it without it deeply offending you, Hannah. But I'm gonna try to tread lightly. I am sure
What a setup.
that you are right. No, but because like when you hear what I'm about to say, you're gonna get it. I am sure, Hannah, that you are incredible at marketing. Right. You are. I'm sure you are amazing at what you do. Your resume certainly says as much. You bring a lot of marketing background into your work at Brooklyn Bowl. But I would submit to you, this venue sells itself. I don't think this venue needs marketing. Food, music, bowling in the same building. Like, you don't have to be a marketing genius to sell that.
Well, that has helped open 3 other venues. So I think you might be onto something, but I do disagree that we definitely need people marketing the room. But I'm a little bit biased.
I mean, I feel like the TV commercial could just be me looking into the camera, just going, bowling, music, food. What more do you want? Say, yeah, y'all can use that. I'll let you use that video. I'm not even going to come after you for copyright infringement or anything. Happy to be your spokesperson.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, though, I know that, marketing is always a challenge, particularly in the music space. And I'm curious, what is your day-to-day like with what you do?
So I have the unique responsibility as a venue marketing manager that I'm not just marketing the shows. I'm marketing everything that you mentioned. I'm marketing the bowling, the food, the drinks. So I definitely have to spend time making sure that I'm paying attention to every aspect. Something that I really enjoy doing is tying it all together and like finding ways to market both the show and the brand at the same time. Something we do that comes to mind, we do drink specials for dance parties. I really enjoy doing this because we come up with really punny names to go along with the dance party. Along with that, this is the first job that I've had where I'm in charge of not just interns, but a full-time person. I really enjoy the mentorship aspect of my job. I also have a unique opportunity of working at the venue every day. I really enjoy having ownership over the room that I market. I think that makes my job very unique. I'm there all the time. That's why our TikToks are always on location, because we're always on location, and it's a really great experience because everyone else that works there is always there all the time, and we have a really good team.
And before you came to Brooklyn Bowl, you had a background from the label side, and you've also worked in the event production and promotion space. And so, while you didn't start your marketing career in music and bowling venues, you came in with sort of a different path to get to where you are. Can you talk about how some of those similar kind of areas, but are different in their own way, how you brought in that diverse experience to affect the work that you're doing now at Brooklyn Bowl?
For sure. I feel like every job that I've had, when I've gotten to my next job, I've realized how I could have done better in that, and how my path has helped me bring me to where I am now. I think something that I learned when I was a publicist that I brought into my current job is thinking of an angle. So what angle does this show, does this food special have that I can use to get people to care? With the label side, I learned a totally different aspect of the business. I'm able to understand kind of where the artist team and record label side is coming from when we're discussing stuff. I know the importance of publicizing their releases, whether it be an album or a song, as a way to also market the shows. And with my first full-time job, when I was doing concert marketing, I worked for a small company, and I had the ability to try all different aspects of a live concert venue. So I was selling tickets, I was settling shows, all kinds of stuff. And I think that helps me understand how not only a show works from top to bottom, but how to better relate to my coworkers and what they're working on and what I can help them with and how we can all work together.
Fantastic. Now, I have a question about the shows you're actually booking, because I've been over here looking at the roster of of artists you've got coming. How do you have an incredible array when you're booking these shows? How are you making determinations, like finally, like, okay, this is a band we're interested in, this or not? What are some of the things that bands can do to put themselves over the edge to make you go from a maybe to a yes?
I think something that bands can do that's very important is making sure that they have nice materials all together. At my first full-time job, I was looking for local openers, and you would not believe all of the basement cell phone grainy videos that were sent to me with someone being like, "Hey, please book my band." And it's like, I can't hear you over the yelling. I think that if you want to take your career seriously, you should make sure that your materials are nice, you're presenting yourself professionally, and you have everything together. You don't need to have a publicist or a manager or anything to be booked at a venue in your area. It just really helps to look like you care and you have all the materials to show a talent buyer.
And so for smaller bands, because I mean, I'm looking at, like, you guys have Scary Pockets like 3 or 4 nights in a row. Like, you got some
Yes.
legit acts coming through. So on behalf of like the smaller indie bands, like, it sounds to me that places like the Brooklyn Bowl are open to smaller bands pitching and saying, hey, we could be a great opener for touring acts coming in. Is there anything specific that bands need to be aware of, besides what you just said, about landing those types of gigs?
I think something that's important to keep in mind is that even if a band says no, like let's say you submitted yourself for a support act and we've asked the band to see if they'd fit, that it's not a reflection on you, and that doesn't mean that it's always going to be a no. Oftentimes we do have kind of local shows, especially in the summer, and oftentimes these come from like a local band that has friends and other bands, and they come together and they're like, hey, we have this package deal, we can sell this many tickets, can you give us a chance to play in your room?
Interesting. Now, how does whenever you're getting those types of packages together, how much does the venue go over the lineup? So if a collective comes to you and says, hey, this is something we're interested in, are you looking strictly at potential ticket sales, or are you also looking at, does this lineup flow? Does this make sense? What are you guys looking at? Because I don't know many venue bookers, so I'm curious what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think that Erica and Lucas, when they're booking the shows, that they see if it makes sense for the room and if they like them, and that they can look at their previous play history in the area and see like, oh, they played this venue and this venue. This is the next logical step for them to play either the 3-band bill or opening set in our room.
And now I just have to ask, can I ask you a nerdy marketing question?
Yes.
What's the weirdest marketing ploy you've ever tried that paid off?
Ooh, good question.
Because marketers always have good ones, because marketers are smart people, yo.
I'll have to think about that. The weirdest thing I've ever done for marketing.
That worked, because I've done weird things.
That worked. Let me think. That's a really tough question. I'm totally blanking right now. The weirdest thing I've ever had to do for marketing.
Maybe like a particularly wacky TikTok.
Oh, those are
yeah.
Brooklyn Bowl has good TikToks. They do.
I think that something that we did that was really fun was my coordinator's mom was in town, and she let us be a part of. She was letting us be in our TikTok, and she was a good sport. And I think that a lot of people resonated, like, "Oh, hey, my mom would love doing this."
Oh, I like that.
That's pretty cool, actually.
That's delightful.
Yeah, bring your mom bowling.
That's some savvy marketing, because as Zach
bowling.
put it, marketers are smart people, yo. So, Hannah, our guest is the marketing manager at Brooklyn Bowl, Hannah Nobby. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting brooklynbowl.com. Hannah, if you would, we would like to have you help us out with a particularly fun project that we teased at the beginning of the show. As we mentioned, Brooklyn Bowl uniquely stands at the intersection of two of my favorite things, music and bowling. And so we have been hard at work. Our crack team of R&D people have been hard at work coming up with what we think are the best music-related bowling team names that people can use for their bowling leagues. But since you are the marketing manager for Brooklyn Bowl, you know a thing or two about branding. We want you to help us decide what the best music bowling team name is. And so here's how we're going to do this. All right, we have 20 names. We're going to give them to you in blocks of 5. In each block, you'll pick the winner of that block, and then each of the 4 winners will then, go against each other in the grand final, and you'll pick the ultimate team name. Does that make sense?
Yes, my alma mater is in the Sweet 16 tonight, so I'm very excited to do another bracket.
So you're all about the brackets. All right. So you're intimately familiar with bracketology. All right. Producer Lauren, can we get like some kind of like fun music for this? Just because this is fun branding, and Hannah would be the first to say when it comes to marketing, you need a good song behind what you're doing. So what do you got for us? Oh, okay. All right, here we go. So the 20 names, you're going to pick the best one. So the first group is Bowlie Eilish, Katy Sperry, Queen Strike, OK Gope and Frame, or Build Me Up Gutter Cup.
Definitely Build Me Up Gutter Cut.
Oh, that's pretty solid. Yeah. The song lyrics always do better with this. All right, next group.
Yes.
Taylor Split, Pinkubus, Leonard Pinnard, Garth Hooks, or Guns N' Rosins.
Wow, those should all be first seeds. But I think the one that definitely sticks out is Pinkubus.
Oh, yeah. I like that one too. Anything with pin in it is funny. Yeah, I feel like the selection committee did a lot of schools dirty on that group. Right, there was that bracket was way too stacked. I'm with you on that. All right, next group, Split Ski. I like that one. Bowling Stones, Living on a Spare, 710 Dust, or Britney Spears.
Definitely Split Ski. Her concert was fantastic.
I feel like I contaminated the jury pool with that one, but I mean, Split Ski is great. So Zach, so far, have any of them been eliminated that just make you hopping mad?
No, I think thus far Hannah is crushing this.
Well, makes perfect sense, right? She's
Yeah.
the branding expert. That's why we bring her here. Because I know she can get this done for us. All right, this is the last of the 4 brackets before we determine our grand champion. All right, we have 10,000 Laniacs. Zach like that one. Frame Impala. Spare Supply. Barbara Strike Sand, or Madison Beer Frame.
Wow, another one full of 1 seeds, but I feel like 1,000 Laniacs, that one definitely.
Yeah, 10,000 Laniacs. I mean, we all got to give love to Natalie Merchant. I mean, just okay. So, this is the moment of truth. We are all waiting here with bated breath. We have made it to our final 4, and frankly, they're all stacked. I wish we could have 2 bowling teams. Just we could have, but that's not how this works, right? You, Hannah, as an NCAA tournament fan, know better than anybody else. There can only be one winner. So, your 4 choices to figure out our grand champion are Build Me Up Gutter Cup, Pincubus, Split Ski, and 10,000 Laniacs. And before you give us your choice, Hannah, let's go to Zach Sloan first. Zach, what do you have as the winner?
Build Gutter Cup.
Build Me Up
Gutter
Gutter
Cup.
Cup. That's that.
Gutter
All right,
Cup.
that one's solid. And now, producer Lauren, you want to jump in here? You want to give us your thought here?
I'm too busy having fun reading the private chat and looking at all the new candidates that are coming up here. I'm like, they're not even in the running. But
Yeah,
with
like
the one
Paradise
we're
City.
giving-
Let me just read some of these off. We have Paradise City, David Bowley, Bolio Iglesias. Oh, come on. That one's forced. Strike Lee. That's not even music. Too legit to split.
That's my favorite.
Thank you very much.
All right. All good ones there. All right. So
I
anyway,
would go with. I'm with Zach. I like my Buttercup.
Build Me Up Gutter Cup. That is also solid. All right. But it's back to you here, Hannah. Only you get to determine the winner in all of this. Again, it's between Build Me Up Gutter Cup, Pincubus, Split Ski, and 10,000 Laniacs.
I will be using all of these in TikToks and other various marketing things going forward. So please don't sue me.
Oh my God, we'll send you the whole list for sure.
Oh, please,
Screw it.
please do. I can't wait to show my coordinator. I think Build Me Up Gutter Cup.
Yeah. Oh,
I feel like not only did it win, but it was like unanimous.
I mean,
That's
I
amazing.
I
think-
thought it was going to be a little more like torn up there.
I think the best team won there. Look, I feel awful. I feel bad for Splitsky, okay? Any other year, that team would have ran the table. But, you ran into a juggernaut in Build Me Up Gutter Cup. We're sorry, Splitsky. It happens.
I'm not sorry. May the best team win.
Completely off topic. When you're at work and nobody's there, are you guys all bowling?
Oh, that's a good
Sometimes.
question.
Because I feel like I would just show up and be like, guys, let's go play a game and come back to this question. It's
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
Is anyone on your staff a good bowler? Because when I've interviewed people at Brooklyn Bowl before, they're always like, "Yeah, I'm terrible." Is there anybody on your staff? I don't know, the person who does booking, or the person who's coming up with the recipes for the fries, who also has a 260 average.
No, we are all really bad.
They drink too much while playing.
I mean, what is
Have you ever played? Okay, I used to play this because I'm that person.
God.
Have you ever played for low score with bumpers? You put
we're
up
not-
the bumpers and you try to get the lowest score.
No, but I will bring that up at our next production meeting.
That might be a good TikTok too. Oh.
You
So-
can't
Write
beat
that
me
one
anyway.
down.
we got a couple more questions for you here. We thank you for tolerating our nonsense. Before we do the final question, though, I do want to mention again that Hannah joins us to help us celebrate as we're finishing up the tail end of International Women's Month. Hannah is just one of the many terrific women that help make Brooklyn Bowl the amazing venue that it is. And so as we close Women's History Month, Hannah, can you give us your perspective on what we could be doing as a live events industry, as a music industry, to create more opportunities for women in music?
I think something that I try to do now that I'm not really in like the beginning stages of my career, yes, I'm young, is I try to put the ladder down. I try my best to be a mentor to other people, and I try to see what power I have to help people who are just starting out or don't have as much experience as me. Like I said before, I really enjoy the mentorship aspect of my job. We actually are having some NYU students come tomorrow, and I'm very excited to share my story with them and connect with them. And I think, just to summarize, seeing what you can do to help lift someone up is probably the best thing you can do.
Again, one last time, our guest has been Hannah Nobby. She's the marketing manager at Brooklyn Bowl. In addition to her marketing talent, she's also amazing at picking music bowling team names, as we have clearly demonstrated here. You can find out more about our guest work by visiting brooklynbowl.com. Hannah, before we let you go, before you split ski on us, I don't feel good about that. I feel kind of good about that. One last question for you. Do you have any last tips for the indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
I think, to go back on what I said earlier about having an EPK, you can do something as simple as having a Google Drive, and just having photos in there, links to your music, you performing, bios, anything that someone who's interested in your music, whether that be a fan or someone who's booking or playlisting, any of that kind of thing, can look at and quickly reference, I think really, really reflects well on indie creators and musicians.
Oh, I mean, I kind of have to ask a follow-up now. I mean, normally we don't do this with the final question. The final question has the word final in it, but this is a really important issue, right? Is EPKs, particularly with people who are trying to get gigs at a place like Brooklyn Bowl, having a well-articulated EPK that's got all the information that the audience needs in there, whether that audience is a venue booker or a record label or anybody else, is critical. So when you're the venue booker, when you're taking an EPK from an artist or an electronic press kit, if we're going to write it out for everybody, what do you absolutely need to see? What are the first few things that you look at that you really want highlighted in an electronic press kit that gets sent to you?
Music that sounds good. And I'm not saying like I like the song or dislike the song, but something that you can easily hear and hear the song and know that you like it or it makes sense for the room.
Like the actual quality.
Yes.
Makes perfect sense. Hannah, you have been an absolute treat for us. You are continuing the undefeated winning streak of amazing guests that we get from Brooklyn Bowl, who bring the knowledge, who bring the fun, and just make us so happy every time they join us. Thank you so much for being on the show this week, Hannah.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this.
Right on. Hannah Nobby, everybody. I mean, don't we love Brooklyn Bowl around here, Zach?
This is my second time co-hosting with the Brooklyn Bowl rep, and I love them.
And your second time kind of shamelessly plugging an in for your band. I feel like you were really trying. And look, nobody's blaming you, all right? I've seen the pictures. Brooklyn Bowl is a fun venue to play, so nobody blames you for trying to lay the pitch on thick with Hannah, trying to get your band into that venue. Your band would be tremendous in that venue, by the way, but you need to admit to everybody that's what you were doing in that interview just now.
Dear Marsha.rocks.
Our thanks to Hannah Nobby for Brooklyn Bowl. Our thanks to producer Lauren and Graham. And thanks to Jake Berger, of course. And thanks to 10,000 Laniacs. And thanks to all of you viewers and listeners for checking out Break the Business. We love you. Mwah. We'll see you next week.